Welcome back to Crafty Coasters. Today we got something special for you. We got to sit down with Rachel over at Red Rock Roasters, and she did one of the most wonderful interviews we've ever seen. It's a lot of good information, a lot of history, a lot of what the Albuquerque coffee scene is all about. So come along with us, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
I'm Rachel Langer. I'm coffee director at Red Rock Roasters. We're at 4801 Jefferson Street Northeast. That's in Albuquerque.
So tell us a little bit about Red Rock Roasters and where they started.
Okay, so the company started in our family's barn in Corrales. There's a picture of it on Instagram if you're looking. I actually had a great conversation with a kind of a barn imperialist, a Yankee, who was like, that's not a barn, barns are red. And it was like, I mean, animals lived in it, and then we started our business in it. Obviously.
It's a barn.
Obviously a barn. So my dad had gone to medical school in Italy, and he dropped out. He's not a doctor. And so he knew a lot about espresso culture, but he also had been selling machinery. And so for him, I think importing espresso machines was like, that made a lot of sense for his connections and his skill set. And at the time, there were not a lot of espresso machines in New Mexico. So he basically started, that's how the company started, was espresso machines. And then they added roasting in because they realized that people needed better coffee to go with the equipment. So they moved into Albuquerque. First we were on McLeod, and we've been in this location for 20 years. And we have hot air roasters. So we had, originally we had Lila roasters. Those are Brazilian. Now we have a Loring in addition to a Lila. So basically it's the same technology, but it's made in America. It's like all stainless. It's really easy to maintain. The parts are standard. It's been a really good time. We love the Loring. And hot air roasting is different from drum roasting. So drum roasting uses direct heat. There's a flame. The flame heats the drum. The beans touch the side of the hot drum, and they roast. Hot air roasting is more convective. So basically there's a furnace, pumps hot air into a cylinder, and that's how the beans roast.
So more like a popcorn popper-ish.
Absolutely, yes. I do often use the Jiffy Pop on the stovetop versus the air popper analogy. It's actually really apt, yeah. And I didn't always think that hot air roasting was superior because I didn't know anything else. And then when we knew we had to buy another roaster, and so a friendly competitor in town let me roast on his machine, which was it's a Diedrich, which is actually infrared plates, not flame, but it's a drum roaster. And then the same day we roasted on our Lila, and we also had already shipped the same coffee to Portland to have this guy roasted on a Loring to the same profile. So then basically we got that coffee back and we cupped them all at the same time, and we were like, whoa, actually hot air is better, and the Loring was a cleaner cup than what we had.
And that was mostly because the chaff does not burn up inside, or is that because...
I think it's just development. So basically cellular development is more complete. So again, with the popcorn analogy, like if you did it on the stovetop, you would have a lot of those old maids, all those kernels that never quite, because they get hot from the outside in, and so sometimes they just don't get quite hot enough to totally explode. I think it's the same thing with the different kind of a seed with coffee, where convective heat is just a more even roast process. So you get better development, which in the cup just means like a little bit more intense flavor. This is something that you would never be able to pick this out if you didn't do exactly what we did, which was roast the same coffee the same way, the same day. And even then it was like, these were minute differences. So I think many roasters, there's plenty of fantastic drum roasted coffee. I mean, it's the classic way to roast. I like hot air, and again, it's all that I've ever known. So like if I've attended professional development classes, roasting classes. There's a Roasters Guild. A lot of the information that's available about coffee roasting is irrelevant if you're if you don't have a drum roaster, and also at high altitude. The rules kind of change. So everything that I know about roasting, basically I've learned on the job.
Well,
That's how most roasters have done it.
Well, isn't that the best way? Because, at the end, this is an art form.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a taste, it's a feel, it's a smell.
Yep.
It's not something you can plug into a computer and get the same thing every time, because you're working with a perishable.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
So also, you started in '93.
Yeah.
As what'd you say, equipment?
Yeah,
supply?
it was espresso machines. Yeah.
And you've just built Red Rock to what it is over time.
Yeah, my parents have. Yeah, I've been at the company in a managerial capacity for 7 years. And before that, I bagged coffee in high school and college.
Of course.
I was bagging coffee when I was like, I knew that I wanted to be in coffee. At the time, I was like, oh, I'd be happy to bag coffee for the rest of my life. Of course, your body starts to fall apart at a certain point, so it's better to have a cushy desk job.
So it says you're a specialty roaster on your website.
Uh-huh.
When you say specialty coffee, I know you're talking about the higher end beans and stuff. But I was also noticing you had different styles of roasts.
Yeah.
And what is one of the ones that you're most famous for?
Okay, that's a really good question. So, when I say specialty roaster, I am just referring to the quality of the green coffee. But we roast in a pretty wide variety of styles. So, our espressos are our biggest seller. We have an espresso blend, espresso strata. That's our biggest seller. A, because we sell to restaurants and they need espresso blends, and B, because it's just a medium dark, developed, sweet kind of coffee that people like a lot. But we also do a number of light roasts, and we do stuff that's a little bit darker. And especially I'll do private label or custom blends that are darker than we would ever sell on our label. So I just feel like there's like a home for every kind of roast level. So we do every roast level.
Rumor has it you guys have a couple of charities you like to give to.
Yeah.
And with that kind of community involvement, we really would like to hear about it. Can you tell us which ones you have and what makes them special to you?
Yeah. Wow, that's another very good question. So, my mom has always done business in a way that was, I think, supportive of the community that supports us. So she's always supported food banks. We had a restaurant also. I forgot this part of the story. Espresso machine business. Also, my mother had the Red Rock Cafe in Rio Rancho.
I remember that. That was a good place.
it was like focaccia sandwiches. There was,
at
the time there was just like a McDonald's and Intel. So that's what built that business. And then she sold it, which was great because now we have, weekends. But so working in food, she always felt like, food security was something she wanted to give back to. When you buy green coffee, you are entering into a global market full of unfairness, inequity, abuse. Mm-hmm. So basically, we see it as our responsibility. If we are going to sell this product, A, to not actively participate in that, so to pay a fair price for coffee no matter what, but B, even if you're paying a fair price, as in you're paying more than any, whatever, it's like, that's not necessarily enough. So coffee is produced in places that do not have governments like ours that build roads for people or provide them with clean water. So that's the sort of stuff that, beyond paying a fair price, we also feel like it's our obligation, just to support the communities that support our livelihood.
That's great. You also do Roadrunner food banks, if I remember?
Yeah.
And that's one of the bigger charities I've seen in this town that you guys actually support here local.
Oh, yeah. So local charities, obviously it begins at home. Keshet Dance Company is another one that we've been long-term supporters of. Man, I can't really remember. I mean, basically, there's like other ones that will support in kind. Oh, Delancey Street Foundation, actually.
That's really neat.
I mean, New Mexico's got so many needs. But we do what we can.
So, tell us what you guys are doing in the future. Are you growing outside of New Mexico? Are you shipping outside of New Mexico now?
Yeah, we do. Online we have a pretty healthy retail business, and people do buy New Mexican coffee who live in all over the country. In terms of wholesale, I mean, there's good roasters in Colorado, and there's good roasters in Texas, and there's good roasters in Arizona. So it's like we've sort of tried to expand and contracted again, actually, in terms of the geographic location, because it costs too much money for us to get the product there. So right now we're just like looking at different revenue streams than we've ever looked at before. So this year, I guess, nope, it was last year. 2018, we debuted another line called Adobe Coffee.
I saw that. And
it's actually like the same coffee that we use, but just the sort of the most simple beans that we happen to have, blended together in like a textbook math problem of like how many permutations can you get with these 3 green coffees. That's the general concept. So we can get the price a little bit lower, and people can. It could be more of a sort of daily grocery item. Oh. So we're expanding into grocery.
Nice.
It's a whole different ballgame.
And you were saying at this point you can get Red Rock in.
So Wholefoods, actually, that we have a very long-term relationship with Wholefoods, La Montanita Co-op and Sprouts, and Albertsons also, and Smith's. So Smith's is like the current project. We're rolling out bulk bins there. We're working with New Mexico Pinon Coffee. Yes. We're sharing an end cap, so that's been a wonderful partnership. It's really actually a relief to have somebody you can work with, because it halves the burden.
Right?
Yeah.
And so where can some of the places, say restaurants, coffee houses, what are some of the places that you provide coffee for that aren't roasters but are actually just coffee cafes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, so, I mean, Albuquerque has so many great cafes. So off the top of my head, 3 Little Birds in Nob Hill, and Swiss Alps Bakery. They've been a customer for a long time. Rust is Gold up in the Heights, serving our coffee.
But you can't get it all over Albuquerque.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
The most part.
Yeah, and most of our business is like what we call them, like white tablecloth restaurants. So if you ever go out to a fancy dinner, there's a pretty good chance that dessert will be served with our coffee.
Oh, nice. Good. Anything you want the public to know?
No, I mean, I think it's a really exciting time for coffee. Coffee quality is really, really good, both in terms of the green coffee that's being imported and in terms of roasting. So it's actually an exciting time as a roaster. I think that there's a lot of competition in Albuquerque, in northern New Mexico, and I think it's been really great because we're all pushing each other to become better. And I guess I would encourage consumers to drink local coffee wherever you get it. You don't have to buy it from me, but drink local coffee because it's really good. And I think that we can turn Albuquerque into a coffee destination, just like it's become a beer destination. So
to sum that up a little bit, it doesn't seem like you guys have a competitorship amongst roasters in this town, but more of a friendship. More of a cooperative relationship.
So that's a really great point. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. This is going to be relevant. But we won the 2018 New Mexico Coffee Roaster Competition, which is the only one that's been held. And it was such a cool day because we were all out together and there was so much camaraderie. And it was like, finally, like, because, you know, you form relationships with some, and then there's like people you've never had a conversation with, or you've never seen them or something. And so it was really great to just have kind of like everybody out in one place. And we also we sort of firmed up existing friendships to the point that some roasters have come to roast on our sample roaster just to see what it's like, or, you know, there's been, and I think the New Mexico Opinion Coffee thing, that partnership probably came out of just continued exposure. So, yeah, I'm really, really pleased. A few years ago, it just wasn't like a cool scene. It was really cutthroat and awful. And, yeah, I'm just really glad. I think people saw what like brewers guilds could do for everybody, and I think that it's just like, duh, you know, why wouldn't you work together?
And see, I got to know a little bit more about you at the Chocolate and Coffee Fest.
Oh yeah.
And everybody had great coffee. Don't get me wrong, and it was the inviting atmosphere around the booth from Red Rock Roasters.
Oh yeah.
They were excited. They asked me what I was doing, and I told them about the channel, and they're like, "Oh, you've got to get in touch with us and come talk to us."
That's
so,
great.
And see, that's the stuff we here at Crafty Coasters want to highlight, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Is that this is a community. Coffee,
Absolutely.
beer, it's all a community.
Yep.
And even though we do different things, we all get along. We all try to push each other. So
Definitely. Yep.
So I hope you enjoyed that video as much as we enjoyed spending time with Rachel. We look forward to doing quite a few more of these in the future. So if you have anybody you're interested in seeing do an interview, leave them down in the comments below, and we'll see what we can do. But until then, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like, and check out the Red Rock Roasters link down below. All right? We'll see you next time here at Crafty Coaster.